Texas is seeing a spike in COVID-19 cases as well as hospitalizations. Meanwhile, local entities across the state are implementing mandatory mask guidelines. This despite the governor not requiring masks for Texans. Joining me now is Governor Greg Abbott. And Governor, first off, thank you for joining us today. My first question for you. It has been 51 days since you told elected officials you cannot punish Texans for not following mandates. In that amount of time, the state has seen quite an increase in cases. And now with this second wave, will you be implementing any sort of punishment for businesses that do not follow local mandates?
So first, I got to tell you that there's background noise. There's like dual information coming in, but I'm going to try to hear and answer the question as best as I can. I think it concerned mandates, and that is first with regard to fast mandates. As I've been clear, individual liberty is important here. We need to make sure that unlike what happened in Dallas County, individuals, they're not arrested and put behind bars simply because they may not be following some mandate. That said, what is in my executive order is, even though I do preserve individual liberty from being forced to be put into jail for not following certain orders, I did authorize the ability for governments to make sure that safe standards can be employed and even imposed upon businesses as they welcome customers in. We want to make sure that as people go out and engage in the economy, they're going to have the ability to go into safe settings that will not be ones that will be conducive to transmitting COVID-19.
In a press conference last week, you had blamed young people for spreading the virus. However, you did order the reopening of restaurants as well as bars. Do you believe now this decision was made too prematurely?
Well, let's be clear first. I didn't blame anybody for spreading the virus. One thing that I did point out was just some factual information that in part came from Cameron County, from Bexar County, from Lubbock County, and from Hays County. And that is what the data shows is that since June 1st, a majority of the people testing positive in each of those counties has been people under the age of 30. And so what we look to is we look to find data to find the reasons for increases in people testing positive, and then we look for solutions to try to address that. One solution that we have learned about that seems like it would address that challenge would be to ensure that bars that have open, that they follow the protocols that were established. So the fault here, if you would, the blame here is not an age group. The blame here lies with the establishments that opened up that were not following the protocols that were established by the doctors that allowed the bars to be open up in the first place. As a result, here's what you will be seeing, and that is the TABC is going to be enforcing the standards that are in place. The TABC has already made announcements. They have issued a warning, and any further violations of these standards will mean that any establishment selling alcohol will lose its license for at least 30 days and will not be able to sell alcohol if they do not follow the standards that have been established that safely allow them to open up.
As far as hospitalizations, what can the state healthcare system expect as cases spike? How impacted will healthcare be?
Again, I'm having a hard time hearing your question. I think it involves hospitalizations. But assuming that's the case, I'll try to go ahead and answer your question, and that is, we are concerned about hospitalizations, and so we are working with local hospital officials as well as local county officials across the state of Texas to do two things. One is to identify the reasons why more people may be going into hospitals, and then second, make sure that we gain control of the cause of that spread and reduce it. And then the third thing is to make sure that we have plenty of hospital capacity available for anybody who may get sick because of COVID-19. What I can tell you is looking at the data for the Rio Grande Valley, and that is that there are plenty of hospital beds available for people who get COVID-19. But of course, our main goal would be to do everything we can to reduce the number of people who even contract COVID-19.
Governor, thank you so much for your time today as we all navigate this pandemic.